Charles Spurgeon was one of the most influential preachers of the 1800s, and there's a powerful detail from his life that's always stuck with me. Each Sunday, as Spurgeon climbed the steps to the pulpit, he would quietly repeat with every step, "I believe in the Holy Spirit. I believe in the Holy Spirit." Picture it. Step by step, Spurgeon would declare his dependence on God. He needed the Spirit's power, and so do we. And this dependence on the Spirit is where we begin today, because if we're going to effectively share our faith, we must walk in God's strength and not our own. So, how do we do this? Well, if there's anyone in the Bible who knew how to walk in the Spirit and how to passionately share his faith, it was the Apostle Paul. So for the rest of our series, we're going to study his words in Colossians chapter 4. And the first thing Paul tells us is simple, but very powerful. Verse 2 says, "Continue steadfastly in prayer, being watchful in it with thanksgiving." Notice what Paul says. He says, continue steadfastly. The NIV says, devote yourselves to prayer. As I was preparing this study, I noticed that when the Bible speaks of prayer, it's often connected to the idea of perseverance and consistency. It's this idea of praying morning and noon and night. And for Charles Spurgeon, it was praying every step to the pulpit. Now, let's be honest. When we're praying for someone and nothing seems to change, it is easy to want to stop. But today, I have a story that I believe will stir your faith. There's a woman in our neighborhood we've been praying for years. She's very kind, but she's not really interested in spiritual things. Well, one day we were chatting in the yard, and as we were wrapping up, she said, "Donna, I almost forgot to tell you. The other day I was just sitting in my house, and it just hit me. How could one man who lived 2,000 years ago on the other side of the world have a message that changed the world?" And from her comment, we had this very natural and warm conversation about Jesus. You know, looking back on that conversation, here is what struck me. She said, "Donna," she said, "it just hit me. It just hit her how Jesus could be a world changer." And I'm thinking, I know what hit you. That was the Holy Spirit, because our family is praying for you 5 doors down. You see, when Paul said to devote yourselves to prayer, I don't think he was searching for something spiritual to say. Paul knew what we cannot forget. When God's people pray, God moves. When you pray for that unsaved son or daughter, that grandchild, that coworker, that neighbor, or that boss, we are inviting the presence of God and the activity of the Holy Spirit into that situation in a way it would not be there unless you would have prayed. What a thought. So here's my challenge. Choose one person who needs Jesus and pray. It may be your boss from work. It may be a grandchild. Maybe it's someone you've been praying for years, but have stopped. And just like Spurgeon reminded himself with every step, let's remind ourselves that we need the Holy Spirit. We need the Spirit to work in their lives, and we need the Spirit to work in us, to give us the ability to share. So friends, devote yourself to prayer, because when God's people pray, God moves.